Go live. System start to work and show red picture. Live. Hello, my dear friends. Best greetings from Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine. Best greetings from Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. We have today European stream online. Entomological online stream. Join our online stream either on telephone or on computer. Just visit my page on YouTube, front page of my channel, Dr. Victor Fursov, entomologist, beekeeper, teacher. So my channel is devoted to entomology, beekeeping, and also to education in the field of biology, in the field of entomology. Today we have streamed together with my friend Bogdan Nikolov from Sofia. He is a student, not yet university, still student of college, but he is very interesting person because he is interested in entomology. Not many people interested in such very narrow subject of research. Maybe more people are watching upward to the space at the present time, to watch for planets, for solar system. Maybe more people like to type on computer, or more people like to play on a smartphone and just play games. But some people like insects. That's why today we are planning to make stream, like a lecture, like a discussion, like mutual interview together. I can ask questions, Bogdan will ask questions about entomology, science about insects. And today Bogdan proposed the subject about biological control. You can see some insects behind of me on the poster. These are tiny parasitic insects. They are used in biological control. What is biological control? I say biological control, this is an alternative to chemical control. Do you like chemicals in your food? Do you like to eat chemicals with your bread, with your vegetables, with your apples and other fruits? Probably not. How to do it? How to don't use chemicals in food production? How to use alternative to chemical control of pests? This is a question Shakespeare should say, to be or not to be. How to use organic agriculture, how to use agriculture without chemicals, or at least with limit of chemicals, little bit. For that, scientists and practitioners are using different methods of biological control when some biological organisms can fight with another biological organism, which are not beneficial, which are pests and dangerous for humans or for animals. And this process can be called as biological control of one organism using another organisms or some products, like we can discuss about it today. So, Bogdan, start your speech or ask your questions. Let's start your introduction and your ideas. Start to speak.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Bogdan from Sofia. I am a research entomologist and also a breeder of many species of beetles. I would like to do research on them and to see their life cycle. This is my basic idea. So I make multiple and different biological and entomological researchings on them, so we can understand better their biology and how they work. So I choose to work with beetles and grasshoppers. And today I'm going to talk about some beetle species that are used. So these are very good for the environment and for our crops. So we can talk about ladybugs, we can talk about different types of leaf beetles, and also carabid beetles, especially ground beetles. And they are very good because they are eating very harmful and very destructive organisms that are very bad to crops. So first I will start with my questions about different species of wasps that are used as biocontrolling agents. So my first question is about the genus, the braconid wasps from the genus Aphidius. Are they the most important biocontrolling agent to aphids? Because I've heard that some species like Aphidius airvi can be very good and can give us good results on biocontrolling of aphids.
Okay.
So, are they good in biocontrol?
Okay. Question about organisms which are used in biological control. Well, I'm working with parasitoids, with insects which are feeding on another insects. So they're feeding on them and they're killing them. That's why they're called parasitoids. And parasitoids belong to different genera, different species, and different families of parasitic Hymenoptera, and some Diptera as well, and some other orders. They can be also considered as parasitoids. Even some mites, Predaceous mites, they are feeding on another mites, on Phytophages mites. And regarding biological control, we need to consider what should be used for biological control and how we can use it. We can control dangerous animals, insects, dangerous arthropods like mites, like ticks. We can use some insects which will feed on them as parasitoids or as predaceous insects, or also biological control when human beings can use some phytophagous insects or phytophagous organisms to control some dangerous plants like weeds, because many weeds are widely distributed globally all around the world. They're coming to United States, they're coming to Europe from United States, they're coming to Australia, they're coming from Africa to United States, they're coming from Africa to Europe, or from China to United States, from China to Europe, and from China to Australia. Dangerous plants and dangerous insects, dangerous arthropods. And for example, some very important dangerous pests are sucking insects, like mealybugs, coccids, pseudococcids, some aphids. They're feeding on many plants. Many of the plants are damaged by aphids. Fortunately, there are some predaceous insects, predaceous mites, and predaceous ladybugs are feeding on these insects, on aphids. And parasitoids as well. Some parasitoids are coming to aphids. Oviposit egg inside aphid. Aphid swarms, becoming like a ball, and inside this ball developing larvae of parasitoid. This is a case, for example, for Aphididae. This is a Braconidae family, and also family like here, calcid wasps, family Aphelinidae. They belonging to different order, different superfamilies, Ichneumonidae and Calcididae. These are Calcididae. Aphidius airvi is a very famous one, because humans are very clever creatures. Now there are some biological control laboratories where we can breed on plants phytophagous insects, like caterpillars, like some beetles, like some aphids. If these plants are weeds, we can use these insects like chrysomelid, leaf bugs, leaf beetles, or we can use some other dangerous for plants insects, for weeds, and can release them. But if we don't need some aphids, we can breed some Braconidae, some Aphidae, like Aphidiocerae or Aphelinidae, on different aphids in laboratory. This laboratory can be pretty big, like a greenhouse, because Aphidius is dangerous usually, much more dangerous in greenhouses. And in greenhouses, also against white flies, are used very often Encarsia, small, very small, about 0.6 millimeters, less than 1 millimeter. These are parasitoid of white flies. White flies sitting like a butterfly with very tiny size, about 2 millimeter size. And larvae are feeding on many plants like cucumbers, potatoes, all different plants inside the greenhouses. And to control them, farmers need to spray, always need to spray some chemicals regularly. They need to spray chemicals every 10 days. So you can imagine if you go to supermarket, you are buying tomatoes, potatoes, pepper, whatever you buy from greenhouse, everything should be sprayed with chemicals. So you are feeding it. And nobody will not tell you how many chemicals have been used. Every 10 days. Every 10 days. Don't forget about it. Only few shops will indicate that this pepper, this cucumber, this potato was produced without chemicals. This is organic agriculture. For organic agriculture, some biological control organisms like Aphidius, like Encarsia, like Trichogramma and others are used in some ladybugs as well, some predaceous mites like Umbiliceus. There are some tiny spider mites. They're very dangerous on leaves. They're crawling on leaves, they're sucking leaves, and leaves are dying. But very effective Umbiliceus and other predaceous mites. They're coming and they're feeding very effectively all these spider mites. Aphidiocerae is also very effective against aphids in laboratory. But of course it needs to be educated, need to be very careful technology, when to breed them, when can release them, and how to control them. Because they can be released in appropriate time before emergence. So if technicians will release them just long time before emergence, these tiny balls with larvae, with pupae will be drying out, or they can be wet. So it needs special control under the microscope for biology of Aphidius. If it's time to be released, one day before hatching, all tiny balls of swollen aphids are released maybe on paper, maybe on some pieces of leaves inside a greenhouse. So parasitoids hatching from aphids. So they're crawling around, they're flying around and parasitizing, attacking aphids very effectively, as well as Encarsia against white flies and some predaceous mites against Phytophages spider mites. So these are like three most common biological control agents in greenhouses, but not only three, much more. Okay,
so I have a question about Trichogramma minutum. This is a species of egg parasitoid that has been used to parasitize over 200 species, 200 families of moths. and it's native to eastern United States. And is this species effective against, what can we say, against different corn moths and different species, because it has been used in greenhouses and orchards.
Trichogramma is more often used in outside field, on crops. And regarding Trichogramma minutum, because this is not European species, this is considered to be American species or Nearctic species. So it's better to use it in United States or just southern places in Canada as well, but not in Europe, because there are some trophical relations between parasitoid and hosts. There are some kind of adaptation, trophical adaptation, biological adaptation to the host, to the climate, to the temperature, to the humidity. So that's why if you can use some species from Africa somewhere in Europe, it will not be effective. If you use some species from United States in Europe, it also will not be effective. Better to use locally distributed species, which is damaging precisely the necessary important dangerous pests. So it needs to control trophical relations. Because in Europe, most effective species is Trichogramma evanescens against majority of crops in Europe, like maize or just cornfields. That's why laboratories in Europe and in Bulgaria as well were breeding Trichogramma evanescens, or in some synonyms, so-called Trichogramma brassica. But in greenhouse, Trichogramma maybe will not be so effective because it's difficult to distribute it in greenhouse. Greenhouse is very hot, with very high humidity, and maybe not favorable conditions for Trichogramma, which is not so adaptable to hot climate inside greenhouse. But I don't have experience with greenhouses actually. In Ukraine it's used only on cornfield and in some apple orchards and greenhouse and vegetable gardens as well. Okay.
So there are different species of biological control, different types of biological control. I would like to talk about the mites, because there's one species of mite, the two-spotted spider mite Tetranychus urticae, and it's pests on numerous bushes and grass and trees. And I had a basil plant, and it was infested with different types of spider mites, and especially in strawberry fields in America, one species of predatory mite has been used. This is the Persimilis. He has been used on Tetranychus urticae for years and has been very effective against this particular spider mite. And this species only feeds on other mites, so it's very effective. First, farmers were spreading this species by hand, and then they used different agricultural drones to spread this species around strawberry fields, and it has been very effective because Tetranychus urticae has been controlled very successfully by the Persimilis mite. And when Persimilis mite eat all their food, they die. And when the infestation begins again, we can use Persimilis mite again. So, do you know what was the year of introduction to the United States?
The year of introduction? What do you mean?
Yes, the year of introduction to the strawberry fields.
And what is the difference? Oh.
I mean that before how many years this species, since how many years this species is used as a biocontrolling agent?
I have no idea, maybe 30 years at least. This is usage of to be correct, it needs to check literature.
So we need to check if this was 30 years ago or not. So I would like to talk about some species of beetles that are used as biocontrolling agents. Not officially, most of them were not officially classified as biocontrolling agents, but they have a great potential. About this. So the first I would like to talk about some ladybug species. For example, there are about 183 species of ladybugs introduced to the United States since the 19th century to the 21st century, and most of them actually didn't work, so they escaped or they died, and only about 19 species settled in the United States. For example, one species of family Cocciduline has been spread in the United States and has been used for many years. It has been introduced in the 19th century. This species is Novius cardinalis. This is the Vedalia lady beetle. Has been introduced from Australia to USA to control the cottony cushion scale, Itzeria purhasi, from the family Monophleboidae. This species of scale insect is a pest on fruit trees and especially on citrus trees, and they are sucking the juice from the leaves and stems. So when this species of ladybug was introduced, they show really good results because of three. There are three very important reasons for that. So the first reason is that this species consumes a large number of prey insects. The second reason is that the larvae are very good at finding food and can consume over 100 scale insects a day. And the third was that especially in Florida there is a hot climate, so this species was introduced mainly in Florida and survived because of the hot climate. Other species of ladybugs are like Harmonia axaridis and Coccinella septempunctata, who are very good at controlling, especially in greenhouses and on field crops. They of scale insects and aphids, especially the orange aphid, Aphis neri. And other species of ladybugs, including Cycloneda sanguinea, Coleomegilla maculata, Nemia seriata, and different species they're really good at controlling. For example, Coleomegilla maculata can be very good at controlling the Colorado potato beetle, Leptinotarsa decimlineata, because they're eating their eggs. For example, different species of Simnine ladybugs, the dusk lady beetles, they are also good in controlling different species of scale insects. Ground beetles, they are very good at controlling different species of worms and fly larvae. For example, Harpalus affinis, as I said in one of our discussions, were used against the cabbage root fly and against the citrus or the apple aphid from the genus Rupelosiphon, and other species. For example, many weeds like crabgrass and dandelion, because they're consuming their seeds and reducing their population. So other species like Amara enea, this is a small species of ground beetle that has been in my breeding since 2 years, and I'm breeding them successfully. They don't have a very good potential as a biological controlling agent, because they're reported to feed on different types of aphids in grasses, but they don't consume a large number. They're only eating around 10 or 12 aphids a day. And I am very interested in weed controlling species. As you probably know, many species of leaf beetles in the family Chrysomelidae and weevils from different families, including Curculionidae, are very good at controlling invasive weeds because they're adapted to, and they're their main host plants. They're big big examples of this are different thistles. There are over 200 species of thistles in the genus Cirsium or Cardus, and they have a reputation of an invasive and very harmful weed. So different species of weevils have been introduced, and not only weevils, but Phytophages flies and one species of fungi. For example, Rhinoceros conicus has been introduced to New Zealand in 1973. It contributes to control nodding thistle, reducing seed population by eating their flowers. Again, winged thistles, Scotch thistle, and Californian thistle. Another species of weevil, Trichogramma, Huidus, was introduced in 1979. It contributes to control thistles by killing individual stems or plants. For example, different species of Cassidine beetles, the tortoise beetles, like Cassida maurea. Its main host plant is Cirsium pauluste, the swamp thistle. And this species is very interesting because it inhabits mostly moist areas, and it feeds only on this species of thistle. And Cassida rubiginosa is another species of tortoise beetle that has been used as a biological controlling agent. This species of Cassidine causes extensive defoliation and contributes to control different species of thistles, primarily on Californian thistle. And they could reduce their population by feeding on leaves. and different species of Chrysolina from the subfamily Chrysomelinae and Cryptocephalinae were used to control invasive weeds. Instead of using chemicals and doing some harmful things to soils to control weeds, we can use different Phytophagus beetles, like different Phytophagus ground beetles or different Chrysomelide beetles. And this is very effective. Some species of Chrysomelide beetles can be very effective against weed distribution.
But question,
Bulgaria,
but can I ask a question?
this method is...
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you're enthusiastically talking about important leaf-feeding beetles and aphids-feeding beetles in Coccinellidae family. But we know there are some insects that have different trophical adaptations. For example, Harmonia axyridis, big ladybug, which is now very common, became in Europe. But there is a competition between Harmonia axyridis with native species of other Coccinellidae species. And also Harmonia can feed sometimes on fruits, so sometimes can be dangerous even for agriculture. But it's still breeding in some laboratories and sold for biological control. How do you think, for example, if there are laboratories which introducing some species from Europe to United States, can some species can be adapted to another species of plants or another hosts in America? What should we do before? What should we do before introduction to United States, to Australia or other regions? What needs to be done before introduction?
So many species of thistles are European origins, and they are spreading to Australia and United States. So many Chrysomelide beetles are native to both North America, Europe and Australia. So before the introduction of these beetles, we have to think about, is this plant in the beetle's natural range? Is this beetle naturally feeding on this particular species of thistle? Or is this thistle going to be successfully controlled or stopped by this species of beetle? So we always have to check, is this species of beetle, is it feeding naturally on this species? Is it its primary host plant? Are they feeding on it in their native range? So, because if they are not feeding to it, they are not going to control it. And Chrysomelide beetles, they very large number of them are monophagous and oligophagous. That means that they are adapted to only to one species of plant or a group of similarly looking species. For example, different species of Cryucerinae and Galerucinae. They are adapted only to one species of plant or a group, a species group. For example, one genus of plants. And we always have to check if this species of beetle is naturally feeding on this plant. So if they are naturally feeding on the plant, they will control them because they can, for example, defoliate them or eat their roots. And if they are not their primarily host plant, they wouldn't be interested to this plant, and we wouldn't be eating them.
Yes, I could say that for that there are special laboratories in Europe and America, in the United States, in Canada, in Australia, where scientists are checking and making special experiments. When some species traveled to United States, were checked in biological laboratories for quarantine. But if we're sent from Europe to United States, for example, there are special laboratories of where British scientists and European scientists studying them. And this is, for example, laboratory of Commonwealth Agricultural Bureau Laboratory. For example, this is a book which is named Review of Biological Control in Western and Southern Europe, which was written by scientists with different examples of introduction species from other parts of the world to Europe and to other parts of the world. So more than 200 pages with different species with discussion. And for that, there is a laboratory of CABI, Commonwealth Agricultural Bureau of Entomology. There are laboratories in UK, in United Kingdom, and also in Switzerland, where people breed in greenhouses in a field, specially selected plants of weeds, specially selected to insects or invertebrates, and testing trophical relations. If this insect in Europe will be feeding on this weed, how it is effective. If it is effective, it's okay. Will this insect feed on another plant, on another genus, on another family? Maybe not. If it has monophagous species, that's very good. It can be introduced from Europe to United States or Canada or to Australia. Otherwise, without checking, it is prohibited, and so for that, this is laboratory is working with this logo. Commonwealth Agricultural Bureau. Commonwealth Agricultural Bureau of Entomology, with team of scientists which are working in Delemont in Switzerland to test species, how they are effective for biological control, and also special laboratory in United Kingdom.
Yes, I know one species of caterpillar hunter, the genus Calosoma, and different species of Carabidae. So, what do you think about Calosoma sycophanta? This is a species of beetle that has been introduced to United States in 1912 to control one species of moth that is very old trees. His name is Lymantria dispar, the gypsy or the spongy moth has been famous for, and this species of Calosoma is attacking their larvae. So they are not scared of hairy caterpillars, and many species of ground beetles actually don't attack hairy caterpillars, but Calosoma beetles do attack this, and also they are attacking their cocoons. So, do you think some species of Trichogramma that can be used as biological controlling agents? I have one species of wasp in my mind. This species of wasp, I think you know it, has been used to control egg masses of Lymantria dispar. This is Oencyrtus cuvani, a small species of wasp. I have seen these species. I recognize these species, and I know some facts about them. For example, they are very effective on egg mass control, and they have also been introduced to United States. If I'm not mistaken, they are European originals. They come from Europe, so they can be very effective if you use them properly.
I guess so. What against Limantria dispar and Ephantria cunea, more than 200 species have been introduced to United States. Among them, Trichogramma is not so effective because eggs of these moths were covered with some hairs, so they're hairy. Mass is covered with hairs. So Trichogramma doesn't like covered eggs, especially with hairs. More preferable to parasitize inside empty or clean eggs of butterflies, sawflies, beetles, other insects, but not too strongly covered with the thick layer of hairs. That's why Oencyrtus cuvani is more effective, which is adapted to this species, which is more adapted. And also, Colossoma may be not very effective because there is a competition between Colossoma and other species of Carabidae in natural environment. Maybe it cannot survive just so easily as in Europe, and especially even in Europe, Colossoma now is a rare species. Colossoma sycophanta, you cannot find it sometimes in a city, in a village, in a forest. It became endangered species, like species for...
Yes, especially Colossoma inquisitor.
Especially some species became like endangered species included in the red list of protected species. So there is some waves of population, even if not only for phytophagous insects, but for predaceous and parasitic as well. So it needs to select always the species which can be used. Maybe for a certain period of time, one species can be effective. For next period of time, other species will be more effective. Because this is biology, this is not...
I have one question about...
Yeah. Tell your question.
I have one question about biocontrolling agents on Leptinotarsa decimlineata. Are there any parasitoid wasps that are used to control the Colorado potato beetle?
Surprisingly, there is. There are some species. And actually it was studied some years ago because it was considered that it should be egg parasitoid of the potato, Colorado potato beetle. So, and this species was found in Mexico. But because this species was adapted to the warm climate, and this species belonging to genus Edovium, which is species of Eolophidae family, calcid wasps. And this species there are some trials, some attempts to introduce it to Europe and to study in the laboratory. But still, because this species is from subtropical region, it's difficult to be adapted in hard climate like in Europe. So there were only biological laboratory experiments. That's why some samples, some specimens have been studied in a field, but they didn't survive during hard winter in Europe. But there are some predators, like some bugs, some pentatamidae, so they're sucking on larvae. some pentadamide may be more effective because they're effective on larvae. And beetles,
Yes.
they have very, very productive reproduction system. So they lay many eggs, many larvae. So very, very effective.
Yes, there is one species of Pentatomide shield bug that has been used to control one species of Phytophages ladybug. I'm talking about the subfamily Epilochninae, the plant-eating ladybugs. They are the only pest species in the family Coccinellidae, and many methods have been used against them. For example, they have been sprayed with chemicals, they have been sprayed with special pesticides based on different toxic plants, and people were trying to kill them, but they couldn't. For example, they sprayed them with soybean oil. They used about 10 milligrams of different types of acid from poisonous plants. But this didn't work so well. So they used one species of shield bug. Species Podismus maculiventris has been very effective against this species because they were attacking larvae and they're sucking their intestines. And this species of shield bug was used and has been very good at controlling population. And they used them for many years. And now Epilacna varivestis, the Mexican bean ladybug, has been the population have been lowered to I think lower level. They are on the lower level like right now because of this small pentatomid. So there are many insects. There are many flies that have been used as biocontrolling agents. I don't know the particular species, but I think there are many species of phorid flies and others that have been used to control populations. There are many species of beetles. Actually, there's not only ladybugs and chrysomelidae beetles and ground beetles. There are many species of beetles that have been used as biocontrolling agents. Most of them on plants and different agricultural pests. For example, I can tell you about one species of ladybug that has been used to control the larvae and the eggs of species of leaf beetle in the tropics. I'm talking about in the genus Neoharmonia, discovered by Melsheimer in 1920s. This species, Neoharmonia venusta, has been used to control populations of one species of leaf beetle in the tropics in Brazil, in Chile, and in Peru. And because Neoharmonia is mostly tropical to neotropical genus, with only two species of ladybugs, Neoharmonia marginalis and Neoharmonia venusta. Both species feed on primarily on eggs and larvae of different chrysomelid beetles. They are not aphidophagous like many of the ladybugs in other genera in the tribe Coccinellini, because many of the tribe Coccinellini are actually very good for our gardens and for agricultural crops, in greenhouses, in field crops, different types of crops. So not only this genus has been tried to control different species of beetles. So I think more people need to go into research on ladybugs because they have very good potential on biological agents. Many species have been bred in laboratory, such as the most famous American species of ladybug, Hippodamia convergens, the convergent lady beetle, have been used in many laboratories, especially for greenhouses, because they're exclusively feeding on aphids. And they are found in many places like swamps, forest edges, and meadows, fields, actually on agricultural crops. On foliage, they can be swept from foliage in warm days, and they're commonly observed feeding on different species of aphids. For example, I can't summarize all the aphid species that this species controls, but mostly the green pea aphid, Acyrtosiphon pisum, and Brevicorium Parasitic, the cabbage aphid. So this species is very effective, but there are several methods on biocontrol of ladybugs that have to be kept in mind, because many ladybugs actually want the conditions in the greenhouse to be as much closer as they can to their natural habitat, their natural environment, to settle down and to start eating and controlling aphids. So using ladybugs as a biological controlling agent, as a natural biopesticide, I think it's a more efficient and more the smart way to control and to save our crops eventually, not using chemicals and not spraying over them. Nowadays it's full of chemicals, and we need to ask them ourselves why do we do this? Why can't we use natural pesticides like ladybugs or parasitoid wasps and mites, or even fungi? Fungi has been also used as a biocontrolling agent.
Actually, about biological control and chemical control, this is a tricky question, because for majority in universities and in research institutes, the most important question to study this is a chemical control. So all research students, all researchers are studying how to control pests with chemicals. So because this is the project of study. And for producers, for farmers, this is a question how to receive more profit. For big producers, farmers, and for small producers, like small farmers and villagers, they use chemicals to receive more money. And actually, for example, like small farmers or villagers, they will not use chemicals to produce, for example, potato for a family. In one small field, they will not use chemicals, because they will eat this potato for themselves. But if they use a big field just to sell it, so they can use, and they will use, chemicals to control potato beetle. And nobody will not control them, because there is no special organization to control how many chemicals they do use. Because some farmers, they can use old chemicals, they can use modern chemicals, and many chemicals are considered safe. Especially they are safe for honeybees. It's written in the instruction. These chemicals are dangerous against some pests of agriculture, but they are safe for honeybees, and they are safe for humans. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. These chemicals will kill only some caterpillars, will kill some beetles, some pests, but they will not kill honeybees. So funny trick to sell it. Maybe they are not so effective against honeybees, but they still will kill honeybees. For sure, because honeybee will fly through the field where these chemicals were sprayed. Honeybees flying one way, another way, will breathe chemicals, coming back to beekeeping farm and just dying inside, or just coming to the field and dying in a field and not coming back to apiary. And usually there is no responsible person. There is no responsible. In Ukraine there is only 1-2 cases for whole Ukraine when some farmers paid some money because the use of chemicals. Usually they say, what should we do? We're making food, we're making production, and your honeybees flying everywhere. They're flying everywhere. We cannot control them. So we need to control pests in our sunflower field, in our soybean field, in our buckwheat field, in our wheat field. This is very important business. And your honeybees, what is about your honeybees? Be careful about your honeybees. I will tell you. Just reduce just don't open honeybees beehives and just wait 1-2 days. Okay, someone can say farmer before spraying, but other farmers will not tell anything. And honeybees still flying and dying. So use of pesticides in Ukraine, this is officially not controlled, but in controlled I found the paper, for example, about use of about residues of some chemicals in honey. But I found just only one paper during 5 years. One paper in 5 years. Someone studied residues of chemicals inside honey. It was 80 samples of honey, and summary was no residues. Honey is clean, absolutely clean, absolutely clean. But there are some papers, for example, about metals. For example, if you say this is a road, big road, there are some flowers near the road. So if there are some cars traveling near flowers, cars producing some heavy metals residues, and with gas, with petrol, and all these residues were coming around on setting on flowers. So honeybees come in, collecting pollen and bringing this pollen inside beehive. It's important to say, do they bring some chemicals? Do they bring some heavy metals, insecticides inside beehive? So I found some papers where heavy metals were studied, which were brought inside beehive together with pollen from flowers. But I didn't find publications about how many chemicals were brought from flowers inside beehives, because it needs some efforts to do it, it needs some ideas to do it and some ideas to present it. But no one who is interested to say pollen is clean, pollen is dirty with some chemicals. This is just, pollen is very beneficial, very tasty, delicious, and honey is also delicious and very tasty and very clean. Our pollen is organic and our honey is organic, but control just a little bit. Just only publications of journalists, more publications of journalists rather than publications of scientists about study of insecticides, pesticides, and residues, just small amounts of these chemicals in a food, in honey, in flower pollen, in seeds, in wheat, in crops, which is very important. Who knows how to check it, how to control it? But biological control is important alternative against chemicals. So we can say chemicals is a devil and biological control is a good one.
Yes. In my country, here in Bulgaria, our honey that we buy of stores is mostly a fake one, because companies are doing and producing many fake honey, very big amount, and only in our villages, in our countrysides, there are real honey, and people in there are producing real honey. So I would like to say that chemicals can be harmful to insects, because when you spray chemicals against the targeted insect, you most likely kill, because many food crops are on the border of natural habitats like fields, forest edges, etc., hedgerows, and they are living. There are insects living nearby that are. Some of them are important, and some of them are endangered, because when you spray chemicals, you kill not only the targeted species, but the insects in the border, insects nearby. And because of this, some species of mantids, for example, like Empusa fasciata, species of mantis native to my country, has been declined rapidly because of the uncontrolled chemical spraying, and they are slowly disappearing mostly because of the uncontrolled spraying of chemicals. Some very rare species of grasshoppers and locusts are also suffering from these chemicals. And if we don't stop using them, if we change our way, we protect our crops and our cultures, we can save species of insects like these two, like Empusa fasciata and like Saga Anatolia, species of katydids, bush cricket. So we can save these species from extinction. And also, you said that honeybees are suffering from chemicals, but not only honeybees. Many wild species of bees are also suffering from chemicals coming into their flowers. They're pollinating.
Yes, for sure.
So they can be used, yes. And chemicals are very harmful. So not only they're poisoning insects, but also other animals and humans. And also they are poisoning the soil, the waters, the underground waters, and plants also. So we have to think about it.
Anyway, I hope so. We had just a long talk about biological control for some people who is interested in entomology and in insects. So let's think how to save nature, how to save insects. Because biological control, this is a way how to control environment, how to use chemicals less, how to better use biological organisms for our benefit, for benefit of agriculture, for benefit of farmers and food production. This is a way. There are different ways. This is introduction of beneficial organisms from one place to another place. This is where rearing in native places like in Europe and distributing in the field. And there are use of also some another organisms like fungi, like some microorganisms, like some viruses against insects. Viruses of insects can be used against only insects, not against people. Some microorganisms and fungi against insects, against dangerous organisms like mites, not against humans. So there are different ways how to control it. So let's try to use organic agriculture for food production and try to make more popular idea of organic agriculture all around the world. And for that, we can use beneficial insects, beneficial mites, and beneficial ways of control of different dangerous agricultural pests, forestry pests, or maybe greenhouse pests as well. Thank you for our discussion. If some people will have some questions to ask, let's write your questions in under this video. If you have interesting questions, write in chat, or you can contact me using my email. So this is my email for contact. It's also written under the description of my video. So on telephone it's not visible. In telephone this is a mirror, but you can see my email under the description of video. Or if you have questions about Bulgaria, about entomology in Bulgaria, ask Bogdan in description of video. And also you can visit his web page in YouTube. He has a YouTube channel. So that's interesting way for popularization, for spreading educational ideas, educational videos. He has interesting YouTube channel where he's making lectures about beetles. He's showing his culture of beetles. So if you are interested in nature, if you are interested in insects, you can start your own channel about insects. Your own channel about butterflies, night moths, beetles, caterpillars, bugs, or maybe some scorpions as well, maybe about some spiders, about strange creatures in your region. Where do you live? If you live somewhere in South America, very interesting tropical insects and tropical creatures living there. If you are living in Africa, internet is now very well available in Africa as well. For people it's possible to make YouTube channel. Maybe you may have 100,000 subscribers, even you are in Africa, if you are devoted YouTuber. So we're thinking about growing of our channel. Why not? If you are in Southeast Asia, many YouTubers now became from Malaysia, many YouTubers from Indonesia, from Vietnam, from China, and we're typing their stories and description in English. So if you are from Southeast Asia, or from Latin America, from Central America, try to show your insects, try to show your nature. That's quite interesting. I made a stream with one person from Indonesia. It was very funny because he was just a farmer, very ordinary farmer. He was breeding coconut trees, palm coconut and palm trees. But he is coming to his orchard with palms and with smartphone and taking video, even not with camera. With camera, if you're using camera like this one, you need to use computer because you upload in your videos from your camera to computer. You're watching here what is you're doing and uploading to computer. But if you use smartphone, you can send your video just from telephone. Camera is also very useful. Why? With camera you can make a zoom. With camera you can be very advanced YouTuber, advanced researcher, because camera can be used attached to the microscope, and also camera can be used for big zoom. For example, for bird watching is useful. With zoom on camera, you can put it zoom, and you can enlarge picture of bird or animals or humans. If you can use good camera here, camera lenses, you can make very good picture of insect. With big zoom, with big magnification, you can make a picture 1/4 part of screen, insect 1 millimeter. 1 millimeter, 25% of screen. This is very big magnification, because zoom can be 20, zoom can be 50. So even for small insects, for small beetles, for small flies, zoom can be very effective. So if you can have camera with good zoom, but you need to try to check it. Put here insect, like in a tube. Put it and try to check it before buying camera. But even with smartphone, you can make a better zoom than insect. Insect can be small, in smartphone it can be big. So try to use different equipment. I wish, Bogdan, you good success in your study, your interest in new notes, reading more books, and looking forward to see your new video stories on YouTube, on your YouTube channel. And welcome to our channels on YouTube. We will show you, our followers, different stories about insects and about arthropods, about parasitoids, beetles, wasps, beetles, flies, butterflies, caterpillars, beetles, all the world of entomology. Welcome to our channels. We will make some educational lectures, and you can find some interesting, entertaining lectures as well. Thank you for coming, Bogdan. See you soon in next streams. And for all of us who participated, thank you for coming.
Yes, I would like.
Press likes. Press likes.
Yes, thank you for discussion.
And subscribe to our channels.
And to subscribe to our channels.
Yes, that's right.
Your channel is on my YouTube page, so people can subscribe to it from my YouTube page, because I put your channel. I put your channel in the description of my videos, along with Dylan's channel, and people can subscribe to you too from my videos. So I would like to talk to you next time. So thank you for discussion.
Thank you for coming. See you soon in next streams. Good luck. Bye bye. Show you bye bye by hand.
Good luck.
Good luck. See you soon in next stream. Okay. On the computer, Bogdan is out. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for the participation. Not many people wrote something on stream in chat. On telephone we can continue a little bit in different language. Дякую за участь в нашому стрімі. Якщо вам цікаве відео про комах, якщо вам цікаве відео про жуків, метеликів, гусіній, різних шкідливих або beneficial, корисних комах, або кліщів, або цікаве відео про бджільництво, підписуйся на наш канал і став лайк, задавай запитання під відео. Якщо є запитання приватне, задавайте запитання в приватном имейле. Если вам интересно видео о энтомологии, о насекомых, о клещах, о полезных, о вредных насекомых, о жуках, мухах, пчелах, осах, клещах, пауках, о насекомых, клещах в коллекции, то вы попали на тот самый канал, где мы про них рассказываем. Потому что мой канал посвящен энтомологии, науке о насекомых. Ну, я показываю также около насекомых зверей, таких как клещи, пауки. Скоро покажу вам разных интересных нематод. Скоро покажу видео про трихинел, которые вредны и живут даже в сале, в мясе. Есть одно видео уже про сырую рыбу, между прочим. Можете посмотреть, что вы можете найти в сырой рыбе, что вы можете скушать вместе с тараночкой, купленной где-то там в Аркадии, в Одессе или где-нибудь на северных морях. Замороженную рыбку, строганинку, якщо покушаете. Покушайте строганинку. Или съедите малосольную рыбешечку. Какую гадость можете себе скушать и какую гадость у вас может завестись у вас в организме, если вы покушаете даже суши в дорогом ресторане. Суши в дорогом ресторане где-нибудь, в китаёзном ресторане где-нибудь, в Юго-Восточной Азии. Пойдете в ресторанчик, скажете: какие дешевые крабики, малосольные, плохо проваренные. Какое вкусное суши, свежая рыбешечка в Вьетнаме. Еще как пойдет, чтобы заразить вас полезными нематодами, заразить вас полезными, в простонародье называемыми глистами различных таксономических научных названий. А для этого всего лишь нужно покушать суши в Юго-Восточной Азии, в Камбодже, в Вьетнаме, в Южном Китае, даже в Японии, где тунец, может быть, конечно, проморозится, а может и не проморозится, потому что японцы любят свеженькую рыбу. Потом говорят: что-то живот заболел, что-то такое у меня, наверное. Ему говорят врачи: ну, попей вот лекарство, и сразу немножко все станет лучше. Потому что обычно те паразитические нематоды, которые живут на рыбе, они обычно заражают тюленей. А вот если не тюленей, а съест человек, то они же все равно хотят выжить. И они из съеденного с вами в Юго-Восточной Азии какого-нибудь тунца или какой-нибудь плотвы, какой-нибудь камбалы местной, вьетнамской или китайской, желудки захотят пробуравить стенку желудка и войти в кровеносный поток и разнестись по вашему телу. А вот поскольку вы не тюлень, им будет сложно это сделать. Они будут пытаться. И это вызовет некоторые физические недомогания и неприятные ощущения. А может быть, кому-то и удастся. Все же процесс эволюционный, в процессе развития. Может быть, кто-то выживет не только в тюлене, но и в человеке. А уже говорить о тех разных интересных паразитах, которых вы можете подхватить в Латинской Америке, куда вы так счастливо свалили из тех стран, в которых вы раньше жили, а из тех стран, куда свалили, в Юго-Восточную Азию, так ты жди, что что-нибудь на вас нападет в Юго-Восточной Азии, где-нибудь там на Филиппинках, не в смысле на женских Филиппинках, а на Филиппинах, где-нибудь так в Бразилии, в Венесуэле, в Никарагуа, в Эквадоре, в Боливии, в Аргентине, где тоже хотите не хотите, а есть и суши в магазине, из свежей рыбки, из слабосоленой рыбки, если вы ее любили не только в Аркадии, не только в своих северных народах, но и будете кушать это и в других местах мира, то тоже можете подхватить хорошие болезни. А также различные насекомые являются переносчиками различных интересных заболеваний. Но об этом и мы поговорим в дальнейших стримах о паразитологии, науке о разных паразитах, живущих в человеке и животных. Думаю, что будет чем вас убедить одеваться получше, мазаться от комаров получше и не рассказывать, как Дмитрий Комаров, которого показывали в Бразилии, где он лежал в палатке и говорил: что-то меня вчера комары, какие-то москиты покусали. Что означало, что знаешь, куда едешь, бери с собой полог в палатку, в тентовую специально, чтобы ее закрывать, сетку, чтобы комары не пролезли, чтобы не пролезли москиты, мошка, гнус и другие мелкие насекомые, чтобы не покусали. И не ходи в трусах, в открытых шортах, в тех местах, где летают хорошие, тропические, кусающиеся, жалящие насекомые, которые переносят хорошие болезни, начиная с малярии и других, особенно в диких тропических и субтропических местах. Именно поэтому, если вы наблюдательны, и вы были в Шарм-эль-Шейхе, Хургаде, где-нибудь в Анталии, в Адлане, возможно, вы замечали, что ходят с ранцами такие дезинсекторы, которые создают такой дым по утрам и по вечерам вокруг пальм, вокруг ваших домов, вокруг муравейников. Зачем они это ходят? Создают дымом, обрабатывают специально инсектицидами от комаров, с тем, чтобы туристов где-то в замечательном Шарм-эль-Шейхе или в Хургаде, куда тоже вы свалили, куда вы свалили, или в Алании, из своих стран, чтобы вам было там хорошо. Но комары, москиты и другие разные интересные паразитические насекомые ждут вами полакомиться. Но об этом мы поговорим в следующих стримах, если вам будет интересно. О том, кто захочет вами полакомиться, ну и, может быть, как от этого уберечься. Не только, чтобы быть в шортиках, но и мазаться кремом от москитов, а не только от вашего солнечного загара, который вы там хотите получить где-нибудь в Алании, в Аликанте, в Испании, на южном берегу где-то какого-то моря, где-то в солнечной Бразилии, в солнечной Калифорнии, естественно, где хорошо развита медицина. Везде вас ждут интересные насекомые, интересные артроподы, членистоногие и интересные паразиты, те самые организмы, которые живут в млекопитающих и в человеке. Ну, и думаю, что это будет стрим специально про паразитологию, о тех, кто кусает, тот, кто жалит, и о тех, кто живет в этих маленьких насекомых, которые являются векторами, переносчиками из природно-очаговых заболеваний, как называются они. Природно-очаговые заболевания, которые есть и были в тропиках, в субтропиках, в джунглях, куда вы уехали, куда вы спрятались из своих стран, но вас там ждут новые приятные чудеса, новые приятные болячки, не только ревматизм, но и разные тропические болезни, от которых не спрячешься, от которых вам будут говорить, что на Филиппинах. Давно не было на Филиппинах лихорадки Денге. Давно. Да, наверное, местные, они сами приспособились уже. А вот к лихорадке Денге и другим тропическим лихорадкам аборигены Филиппин. Ничего они не приспособились, они просто болеют, и не видно, как они уходят далеко. Потому что лихорадка, Денге и другие сложные болезни, и малярия. Никто не ходит и не рассказывает, что вот болею лихорадочкой, и болею маляриечкой, а потом рассказывает всем об этом. А возбудители летают внутри и Филиппин, и других стран Юго-Восточной Азии, и ждут вас, когда вы туда наконец-то приедете, в эту Юго-Восточную Азию, когда вы наконец-то приедете из своих северных стран, посетите наконец-то Латинскую Америку, Бразилию солнечную, которая ждет вас с хорошими комариками и москитами и клещами, а особенно Юго-Восточная Азия ждет вас с тем, чтобы на вами полакомиться. Об этом поговорим в следующих стримах. А для этого ставьте лайки, пишите комментарии, задавайте вопросы. Если есть личные вопросы, потому кто на вас напал и кто вас покусал в вашей тропической стране, пишите в комментариях на мою электронную почту, на приватный email. Не забывайте подписываться, если вы зашли в первый раз. Не забывайте, что есть еще кнопочка спонсорства на ютубе, есть кнопочка Patreon для тех, кто в других странах. А тот, кто еще в своих северных странах находится, тот, кто еще в Украине, есть кнопочка на Monobank для donation, для развития канала. О разных интересных насекомых, о пчелах и о интересных паразитах, которые будут ждать вас в тропических странах. Об этом мы еще поговорим. Думаю, что тема вообще интересная. Все хотят куда-то спрятаться в тропические страны, а мы поговорим о том, кто ждет вас в тропических странах. Ждет и не дождется, чтобы вами полакомиться вкусненькими и сладенькими. Так что думаете, что не дождутся? Ждут, дождутся. А пока что подписывайтесь, ставьте лайки. До новых встреч на моем канале. Пока-пока. До следующего стрима, который будет уже завтра. Потому что выходной. Немножко больше народу будет смотреть стримы на выходной. Пока-пока. Привет из Киева, столицы Украины. И не забывайте. Stand with Ukraine, support Ukraine, help Ukraine. Ukraine forever.